Mute myself.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 2:32 p.m. I'm going to call the special Board of Selectmen meeting to order, February 9th, 2022. We'll begin with our budget presentations. Before and after each presentation, we will open up the floor to citizen comments. That being said, at this time, the floor is open to any citizen comments. Are there any citizen comments at this time? There's nobody here live with me except for the registrars. So if you're in the virtual audience and you'd like to speak, just unmute yourself and feel free to speak. All right, hearing and seeing none, we will get right into these presentations. I will be sharing my screen, and the app that everybody will see is our new budgeting software. So you'll be able to see in real time what the departments have proposed. Give me a second here. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going to scroll up. We're at elections and registrations, or the registrars. I have Frank McGarry and Eileen Wachowski here to present their budget for this coming fiscal year.
Well, Madam Chairperson, we're requesting an appropriation for the coming year of $53,403, which assumes that the registrar's salaries stay the same, versus an appropriation the past year of $50,248. And the reason for the increase primarily, no pun on words, is that we expect a primary this August for perhaps governor and maybe for congressperson, maybe for senator. So aside from that, we are budgeting for one general election and 3 referendums and 1 primary.
So if we go line by line, at this time, you're going to keep the salaries the same unless the Board of Selectmen decide to change. I have deputies at $600. That's staying that way?
Yes.
Okay, move down. Election workers, 23,000?
Yes.
Okay, let me make the change. Oops, it's not. I think I might have to do it on the other end. I'll have to go into your site and enter this because it's not letting me make the change. Okay. So under election workers, that's going to be $23,000.
Yes.
Election training, 1,000.
They're doing
Yes.
elections right now, election workers.
Professional affiliations, 220.
Yes.
Travel, that will be increased by 200.
I don't think so.
Oh, it stays the same?
Stays the same. Stays the
Okay,
same.
Orla has it in here initially as 300,
Not
so
after.
500.
Yes.
The little round thing that I hit before.
Just got to remind everybody to please.
Yeah.
And then you can adjust the volume if you want and turn it up or down.
That was me. Okay, so 500 for travel. Now regular training, $950.
I'm in for 900 because.
Oh, 900 for the training.
All our moderators are certified. We don't have any certifications coming due.
Okay.
So we won't have to spend as much.
So, okay, here it said 950, but we're going to do 900.
900.
Okay.
The estimate for this year is 950 because we had training that we had to perform, but we don't have that next year, so we're down to 900.
Okay. And then let's see. Contract for the lease maintenance.
Yes. LHS is raising the cost to 2,500.
Okay. Okay. Advertising?
We have 560 in because we expect that we will need to publicize redistricting.
Okay. So 560 up from formerly just a placeholder of $5.
Right.
Okay. Printing, staying the same at 300?
Yes.
Election miscellaneous, you're just gonna keep that line open with the placeholder of $5?
Yes.
We're down here. And then food cost, 3,000?
3,000. Result of the primary.
And election machines, machine cost, 6,400?
6,400, same thing, cost of the primary.
Okay. Then just office supplies at $100.
Yes.
Okay. Suzanne or Ken, do you have any questions?
So it's the extra primary cost that's going up,
That's right, Ken.
okay? Because have very limited, what we can see on the screen.
Right.
So in order to compare it out, but those costs do fluctuate based on how many primaries, elections, town meetings, they go to referendum, so we have to roll with it.
Yeah, the referendums is the big dice roll.
Yep.
The average is 3 per year. Sometimes more, sometimes less.
And some years are more than others, depending on what the cycle is.
You're right.
So that's fine.
And I tried to make this a little bit clearer for you, Ken, because I was scrolling down. The numbers have not actually been put in by the department yet, so I'm gonna work on doing that with Frank and Eileen so that we get the right numbers in. But I brought it up where you can see elections and registrations, FY 20 actual, 21 actual, where we're at in 22. And then what should be proposed for FY 23 is $53,403. So it's approximately $3,000 more. Correct?
Have you solved that access to the ClearGov for us yet?
You should have. I don't think Suzanne had a chance to test it, but I did get you guys set up yesterday. So when you go in, you should be able to actually see this budget. If not, then
There's nothing there.
you didn't see anything? Okay.
No,
right, I will
same
try
as
to
it
correct
was
that.
on Monday.
Okay. I just didn't know it until you just told me now. So, and Suzanne didn't have a chance to check. So.
Oh, and I did not get a chance all day to check it either. I apologize.
No, that's okay. It's just, I'll work to correct it later after we're done with the meetings today. I'll have it corrected before the end of the week for you.
Okay. And I'll check again later on when I get
Okay,
home.
perfect. Great.
Okay. I did not have any questions. I think Frank and Eileen do a great job, and I'm thankful that we have them. So I understand the increase, and I don't have any questions at this
Okay.
point.
Suzanne, we also have an excellent staff of moderators.
I've heard that. Thank you, Frank.
All right. If there are no other questions for the registrars, we are good.
Heard a bit.
No.
Thank you,
sounds
Amy.
good. All right.
Thank you, Amy.
Everybody, I'm moving back. We were in the Cine room together. I'm moving back to my office, so just give me a second to make that move, please.
Right now, leave it in 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for your patience while I made the move back to the office here. The next department on the agenda is tax collector. And we do have Rainey here. And Rainey, did you want me to share what you provided to me earlier on the screen? Or would you like to get right into the budget?
You can hang up your receiver. Are they waiting?
Yeah.
Say something to make sure they can hear you.
Hello? Hello?
Hi, Rainey.
Hello, Amy?
So would you like to me to share what you provided me today or get right into the budget on ClearGov?
It doesn't matter to you. I just want to make sure that the, all three members of the Board of Selectmen understand that I've submitted a separate form detailing the request for my non-salary expenses for the coming year, as I normally do, and I don't know if those are available to everyone or not. I know that I gave them to Marie to get to everyone.
Ken and Suzanne, did you receive that? I know I sent you the NECOG stuff today.
I did not, I don't believe I received it.
Okay,
The only one that I remember seeing was NECOG.
okay,
Same here.
all right.
Okay, well, a couple days ago, I dropped that off with Marie in the Selectman's office, and she indicated she would make sure that everyone got it, but it's not the end of the world.
Right, I can find it though. I've got it here. Let me pull it up for you, Rainey.
Sure. I mean, we may not really need it. I can just start, and if we need it, then if someone wants to look at it, they can refer to it. But maybe I'd just like to say, to start by saying good afternoon to everyone on this nice first spring day of the year. And I don't know if he's listening, but a happy birthday to Jason St. Onge, 50th birthday today, as I understand. That's a really
Yep.
big deal. And his wife is working away hard at work on behalf of our taxpayers, and he's celebrating his 50th birthday by himself. Just doesn't seem right. But anyway, having said that, my non-salary budget is less than 5% of my total department budget, so there's not a whole lot to talk about here. But we can take one line item at a time, and that was what I had sent in. So I don't know if you're able to see that with what you're looking at, Amy?
Yeah, you
But
know what, let me
essentially-
pull it. I think it'll work well if you work off of that. So let me just find it for you. And I can,
Yeah, oh, I've got my copy.
yeah, I want to screen share it for the selectmen to see it. So just give me a
Good.
second.
Wonderful.
Okay, wait, I've almost got it. All right, here we go. All right, here it is.
There it is. How
Yep.
about that? Okay, so this is the detail for the individual line items that I'm requesting for the tax office for the next budget year, and it's essentially the same as what we have this year, with within a couple $100 of last year's total. The first line is a legal line. I don't typically use that, but I was asked a couple of years ago to set up. I think Orla wanted a line item set up in the tax budget for legal, and put $100 marker in there just in case we needed to have some legal fees that were not covered by I don't use attorneys very often, only for tax sales, and there is no expense to the town for that. That's absorbed by the person that is having his or her home put up for auction. So that's just $100. You can do what you want with it. You can take it out, you can leave it, or you can increase it. It makes no difference to me at all. The next line item is professional affiliations. I belong to two affiliations. One is the State of Connecticut Tax Collectors Association. Those dues are $75 a year. Wyndham County Association that I belong to, it's actually Wyndham-Tolland County. Those dues are $25. It is what it is. That's the $100. It's the same as it's been for the last couple of years. Actually, the Wyndham County dues went up from 20 to 25 this year. So, again, you know, if the town doesn't want to pay for that, I'd be happy to pay for those on my own. Travel, a couple $100. There's not a lot of travel that goes on in this office. Typically, if I or one of the two staff members go to a education session, you know, it comes out of there. I don't think we've used any of that money in a couple of years. You can leave it there. You can take it out. Education and meeting, again, very small line item. I go to an annual state meeting, quarterly meetings that are usually held in Ashford, and two semi-annual meetings at the AquaTurf. That $400 covers the registration for either myself or Scott or Lynn in the office to attend. That's more than enough there. That's what it comes out to be. Legal notices are the second biggest non-salary line item that I have in my budget. Those are really the advertising that you folks see in the shopper's guide. By state statute, tax collectors in the state of Connecticut have to publish 3 times each time we go out to collect taxes. So I'm sure you're all familiar with the ad. You've probably seen it way too many times as I have, but we're covering the law. So it gets published 3 times before during the July collection season and 3 times during the January collection season. And that's just the quote that I got from the shopper's guide for those 6 advertisements. In addition to that, I do advertise for other stuff like the transfer station stickers in October, but that goes under the transfer station budget, and also for the TWPCA tax collections that we do, but that goes to the TWPCA budgets. So the $1,500 is all the town needs for this purpose. The last line item is office supplies. It's a sort of a generic word. The greater part of that is a direct quote from Quality Data Systems for them to do the background work, the production of the tax bills for real estate, motor vehicle, and personal property. And that's a direct quote from them, and I believe that I've given a copy of that quote to both Marie and to Tracy, our new IT person. And then I put $1,800 in office supplies for what we typically pay mostly to Chase Printery in Putnam. I need that door closed, guys. And for envelopes and for other paper products that we need during the year. So $8,800 is all we need. You can leave it all in there. You can double it if you want, or you can eliminate it completely. But that's what we need. It's a very small amount, just about the same amount that we've used the last few years. Any questions on that? And of course, I make no reference to the salary budgets, because I think we were indicated, department heads were indicated that would be done by, I think, Human Resources. Is that correct, Amy?
Yes.
Yeah, the 1.75%.
Yeah, I think Orla had added that in. I'm going to pull up the ClearGov site again.
Okay. Yep.
Orla had added the 1.75 in already.
Right, and while you're looking for that, maybe a editorial comment. And this doesn't affect me, so I hope nobody gets this the wrong way. But I feel terrible for the hardworking hourly employees in the town hall and at the town highway garage. There's only been a 1.75% increase put into their budget for next July, coming off a 0 increase last July. And we all know that inflation has gone up 6, 7, 8% this year, and God knows where it's going in the coming year. And I don't know if it's a function of poor representation from the union's attorney on the employee's behalf or from whoever made these proposals, but I'm sort of embarrassed for the hourly employees who work hard, who are going to get 1.75%. So I guess I would ask, and this has nothing to do with the tax office budget, but I guess I would ask the Board of Selectmen to take that into consideration as we move closer to getting a finalized budget. And if there's any room that's possibly, you know, a little extra, few dollars for our hourly employees, both at the highway garage and at the town hall, I personally would love to see that. I'm not looking for anything. I'm at the stage of my career where that's not important to me. I'm actually here because I enjoy working. So I ask on behalf of the hardworking staff at the town hall.
That's
and at
Randy
the
Moran.
Highway garage. Okay?
Can I just ask for clarification on that? Because I thought that we had put in 2.5% increase last year, and the year before they received a 0% increase. And secondly, I don't think that we've decided on what the non-union increases will be yet.
Okay, I stand, good, I'm happy about that, I stand corrected. I was told that 1.75% was being put in, and I'm only going based on the information that I was given.
Right,
So good,
the-
that's good news.
the contract was 1.75.
Yeah.
The
That's
union
what
got
I
a 2% a 2% increase, not last year, the year before. And the non-union people got nothing. And then you're right, Suzanne, last year, those who were not in the union got 2.5. So, but Rainey's
So-
specifically talking about the hourly.
Non-union.
The hourly people,
Which
the
basically,
people who
but
are
the
in the
hourly
union.
people,
I
the
feel
hourly
like the
people are
union is really raping our people.
But he's talking about the non-union, am I correct?
No,
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm not talking about management. I'm talking about the hourly employees at the town hall and the town highway garage.
Which is the
I would just like
non-union?
to have a little, you know, maybe give them a little more consideration down the road in the budget process, that's all.
But you're
Nothing to
talking
do with
about
the tax
union
office.
and non-union,
he's talking about the
Non-union.
union. He's talking about the union
right?
Yeah,
because he
The
referenced the union.
Oh, I misunderstood. I got it. But
Yeah.
they have a contract, don't they?
Yes.
yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. I think the contract was negotiated terribly, and
Okay.
I don't know if we need a new attorney to work on their behalf, but, you know, we're in a 7-8% annual inflation here, and our dedicated employees are on the short end of that stick, so I'd like to stick up for them.
You know what, I will say that our attorney does not represent the union. It's the union that represents the union.
Okay,
But nobody could have foreseen this huge inflation. Because the negotiations were done last year, prior to the new administration in Washington.
true, and that's why I'm thinking, you know, it's
I
a
know,
different
yep.
time, and maybe there's an ability to, you know, help them all out a little bit as we get closer to the May annual meeting.
And that's certainly appreciated, and we will take that in consideration when we see that full, at least I'll take it into consideration when we see that full budget, when we see it all
Perfect.
entered in.
Thank
And I
you, sorry to
appreciate
go off on a
that because
tirade.
I wasn't understanding what you were saying. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yep, you're welcome, Suzanne.
Yeah, Randy, what did go
Yep.
up in your budget from last year?
What did go up?
I don't have any numbers in front of me.
Wait,
So
I'm
I
gonna
could-
pull up the screen right now. I'm gonna share the screen. Ah, wrong thing. Oh, sure. All right. Can everybody see that? Here's the tax collector, 1.9%.
And what line items actually went up, other than
Okay,
wages?
so the wages,
Yep.
and then, let's see, professional and tech services is 0.22%. Other services, 6.56%, but that he was making up in the, especially in the, Rainey, correct me if I'm wrong. You were considering 7% increase for those office supplies.
That is correct, based on inflation and based on the quote that we have from my largest line item, which is the quality data systems, and we have that quote, so, yeah. So in total, Ken, it's a 1.9%
It's
increase.
an actual number.
The actual number is, $405 more, that I'm requesting next year than the current year. You know, you can remove $405 somewhere if you'd like. I have no problems with that at all.
That's not the issue. Like I said, you know, percentages don't tell us a lot. It's actually looking at what the dollars are. 'Cause your percentages-
$405.
No, but your percentages can be all over the place based on how much it went up, and it'll give you a big percentage number, and it's only
Yeah,
a dollar
sure, from
or
one
two.
line item to another.
So
Yep.
without seeing the actual numbers, it does make it difficult. Randy, when was the last time you used anything in legal?
That's what I was gonna ask. Good question.
I don't remember. It's been a long, long time. I may never have used anything in legal, but a few years ago, Orla wanted to set a line item in the tax budget and put a $100 placemaker in it. I don't need it.
If
I would
it's just,
suggest we take it out.
if you need to keep it over, put in the bare minimum, $1, $5, whatever, and just leave it at, you know, barely anything, and, you know, take out the rest.
Anything
Sure.
else over $100.
Yeah, you know, we've got a $28 million budget, we're worried about $100, but.
No, it's not, but I
Thank you,
mean,
Rainey.
whenever you're gonna
Thank you,
use it,
Rainey.
and you
Take it
just
out.
wanna keep the line item open, then
Right,
just put in
that's what Orla
whatever
wanted
the
to do, yeah,
account says the least amount to put in,
yep, good,
that's all.
I'm okay with that. Any other questions?
No, I think you do a great job. Thank you.
No, thank you, Suzanne. I know this is
You
not
do, I
part of
think
this
you do a
budget.
great job.
Thank you. I know that's not part of this budget, but I also passed along to Orla last week some revenue estimates on some of the line items that I typically give her, such things as back taxes and interest and liens, transfer station, and building fee income for the following year. So that's, somebody has that, probably Marie or Amy, when you guys get the revenue.
Yes, and Rainey, I was hoping to sit, when I start having to enter those numbers in, I was gonna lean on you for some of those
Yep.
details when we enter those
Sure,
in.
I'd be happy to assist with that, yep,
Okay, great.
okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Rainey.
Thanks for all of, everything you do for us, thank you. Okay.
I think I was trying in there before.
Just right here.
So,
Leave.
that concludes the tax collector's presentation. Is there any citizen comments at this time? Because I neglected to open that up.
George just raised his hand.
No, I didn't. Thanks for the recognition, though, but no, I didn't. I saved those for other meetings.
Steve Herbert.
Just, Steve Herbert, 122 Wilsonville Road. Just trying to understand the 21, FY 22 number is year-to-date spending as opposed to what's expected for the current year?
Correct.
I take it, I don't know the system, the new system you've got. Excuse my phone here. Is there a way to put a column that shows the expected current cost? I really prefer, again, just my preference would be to compare what's asked to what's actually used, not against the prior budget. If the prior budget was $1 million and you're not going to use it, then you really should compare it to what you expect to use for the current year. So that's sort of the way I look at it. So again, I
agree.
don't know if the system can do that or not, or.
Nope, it entirely can. It just, with the pace that we had to work with
Sure.
Orla leaving, She didn't assign that to the department heads. It probably should have been. In the future, absolutely. That's something we have to make sure is included, and we can start a lot earlier. We should have started in January versus last week.
Sure. And are the percentages of increase or decrease compared to, I guess they're compared to last year's budget? Is that what they show?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understand what I'm looking at. That's all I
Yes.
had.
Nope, thank you for
very much.
those questions.
Sure.
Those were good clarifying questions.
Oh, I guess one final comment was Rainey sent out a tax collector's report, and it showed some of the income side of our town budget, and that included transfer station
Correct.
and building permits.
Mhm.
I had the feeling that he has the input on those two items, or substantial input on those two items. He indicated to me that we're not collecting as much as we budgeted. He indicated that it was there was an arbitrary setting of those numbers for the FY 22 budget. I don't know if you're going to address that later or not, but it should be not ignored. I would suggest that you get some input on that. That's all.
Absolutely. And I can honestly say, Steve, that was my plan, to really sit down with the numbers with Rainey, because there is a shortfall in a couple of areas.
Right.
And we want to make sure that we budget accurately, for sure.
That's it. And thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any other citizen comments at this time? All right. So we will move on to the next department, Wetlands Commission. And we have Marla Butts and George O'Neill, the chair of Wetlands, and our Wetlands agent to present. Marla, would it be easier for me just to screen share the ClearGov? That's what we've been doing. Okay.
Yes.
Let me bring that up. All right. Wow. All right. So you can see the screen, Marla?
Yes.
You want to just, and I'll just move. If you've got notes, just let me know, and I'll be happy to share any of the notes you have, etc.
Okay, under salaries, I show a 2% increase for both the wetlands officer and for the secretary, which would be the recording secretary. And the notes on that say, historically, salary increases have been tied to those granted to non-unionized personnel. And generally, they've been between 1.5% to 2% each year. And that goes for both of those. So what you see there is the increase that you see is a 2%. That's what I put in. I don't know what the increases are for the non-unionized personnel. Each year they seem to change a little bit. It's not the same amount. Orla would tell me that when I would do a budget, to leave the salary portion alone with the understanding that it would increase accordingly to other non-unionized positions, which was somehow linked to the union budget increases, but I'm not sure how that all worked. So I just put in 2% there, not knowing what exactly is the non-union percentage that normally increases year to year.
Okay.
Then the only other changes, the commission felt that they should increase travel. It originally was $25 and wanted it increased to $100. And same thing with meetings fees and etc. Both of those, there have been restrictions because of COVID-19, and those restrictions are declining. That's in the notes, the comments that I have for both of those. And the Inland Wetlands Commissioners would like to participate more in traveling to workshops and seminars to support their functions as Inland Wetlands Commissioners. So for travel, the increased cost would cover the reimbursement for the travel to such workshops and seminars, such as those that might occur at the University of Connecticut. There are also seminars that have occurred down in Wesleyan. And then there's the CACUIC annual meeting that the commission members can go to and get travel reimbursement for that. I typically don't have any travel from me because the town now has a reliable town vehicle, so I'm not using my personal vehicle. Although the town vehicle's had its own issues with tires running soft and stuff. Then on the next item that would have been changed would have been under advertising. And it originally, it's gone up a couple of times over the past fiscal years. And this year it was at 700 and we're projecting it to go to 900 for this year, primarily because the cost for publishing in the Thompson Villager have increased. I've modified the legal notices to skinny down as much as possible without violating the statutory requirements or the legal requirements for notices. So I can get an advertisement for a single wetlands agent approval or a single permit approval, and they're coming in at just over between $40 and $50. They used to be at $24 when a couple of years ago. So they've significantly increased over time. And then besides that, the inland wetlands regulations need to be revised, and it's expected that in the next fiscal year that those revisions will occur. This is also in the notes. So there are 2 legal notices that are required to be published when you go to public hearing on the regulations. And then there is another legal notice when the commission makes a final decision on those revisions. The question then becomes, how much do you need to include in that legal notice to put the public on notice as to what the changes are? And so I'm not real sure about how much detail has to go into the legal notice, but I'm sure when we get through with the subdivision regulations, we'll know legally what those costs should be for identifying what's being proposed versus what got decided on. So in order to make sure that we don't have a shortfall in that, the commission suggested upping that by $200. And that's pretty much it. Everything else stayed the same. We try to be very conscientious of use of the office supplies, and some of the things have changed slightly over time. Some of the computer supplies, the toners and stuff, been getting those through the selectmen's office as opposed to directly purchasing them. But then there are other items that the commission office, the inland wetlands office buys. We're currently going to be trying, when Carolyn was alive, we were going to buy a cabinet to store, a locking cabinet, so that we could store certain things that wouldn't store in a file drawer. I've allocated some funds from 2 years ago. She allocated some funds and it wasn't enough funds. So we'd like to add a little bit more to that. So I usually try to be real conservative on the use of office supplies. And when I need them, I try to order them at the end of the year. So that if I have a shortfall somewhere else, I can pick it up through the office supplies. Usually I can hold off on office supplies or borrow them from other offices, if I need something really critical. For example, I have a label maker that is the exact same label maker that's down at the town clerk's office. So if I run out of labels, she buys them by the case and I can get and borrow one without having to go and pay the individual fee, because I don't need a case of labels. So there are things that we do in town hall to try to be efficient in the use of office supplies. Any questions?
Yeah, Marla, this is Amy St. Ange. One question. The Eastern Connecticut Conservation District, $1,000. Is that a membership or is it a service they provide to wetlands?
It's a contributory donation so that we can contact them at almost any time and ask them for advice. They also provide a lot of resources. For example, they did a lot of work on the French River watershed analysis, which you'll see on the Inland Wetlands website under resources and advice. There are some links to some of the documents that they produce. They rely wholly on donations from the state government, as well as grants through the state and federal government, as well as personal donations by private citizens, as well as donations by the municipalities.
Okay.
A number of the municipalities provide this service. or provide this funding to the district so the district can continue to work towards good environmental goals that benefit the towns as a whole. They do have an annual report that's posted on their website, and they send us a copy of their annual report, and they detail out all their funding and how they spend their monies. And so if there's anybody that wants to see that, they're more than welcome. I have a copy, a hard copy in the wetlands office, and you can also go online and see it, take a look at it.
Great. Suzanne and Ken, any questions for Marla?
No, I don't have any questions. The Inlands Wetlands does a great job with the resources that they're
Yeah,
Any citizen comments, any citizen thoughts on this part of our budget?
This is Steve. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
It's not very much money, but I noticed you haven't spent anything on professional services for many years. It may be the same as you budgeted last year. Do you, can you tell me what that's used for? Again, it's not a big number or anything.
Okay, so what happens when we have an application in? We could potentially have a complex application that needs an expert to come in, say an engineer. The town doesn't have a town engineer. And say we needed to have an analysis done to show whether or not the drainage calculations we got were in fact properly designed. Or say we have we're going to a public hearing and we need to have a specialist that I don't have the specialty for. Maybe we need a soil scientist, which we don't have anybody that's salaried to do that. So that money is kind of there as held, kind of like as if the commission does decide it needs a specialist to come in, it can award or can charge a complex application fee to the applicant. But at some point, that money has to come up front first to bring the consultant on board. And so that money is kind of like seed money to be able to do that, so that if the money doesn't come from the applicant, the consultant still has to get paid. So we've been lucky in that we haven't had to use it. I've been able to find ways to get the applicant to supply the information we need, or I supply the information. And the biggest concern I have is that of engineering services. Because I am not an engineer, at some point in time, we may come into a situation where I feel it's necessary, or the commission feels it's necessary, to have a separate engineer come and take a look at it. And I tell you, it's going to be a lot more costly than the little bit of money that we have stored there, the $600, but it could be enough to give an initial review. So that's why it's there, because otherwise, if we don't have anything there and don't have any money there, then the commission would not be able to hire an expert in various areas like a soil scientist or a professional engineer.
Thank you very much. I just didn't understand what it would be for. Thank you.
Okay. All right, if there are no further comments or questions, we will move on. Dan, are
Just
you-
make one last,
Yep.
Can I make one last quick comment?
Of course.
Because of my skill set and my expertise, the town is actually getting a bargain with what I'm doing for the town. So I'm thankful that the town is willing to support the Wetlands Commission as best it can. Thank you.
Thank you, Marla. Thank you, George.
Okay.
Conservation, Dan, are you in here
I am present.
and ready to present your budget?
I can.
Okay. Let me just, should I share the screen? Would that be best?
Yes, please.
Okay. So before we get into this, any citizen comments in regard to the budget? We're going to be looking at the Conservation Commission. I don't anticipate any citizen comments yet, but figured I'd put it out there. All right, let me get you pulled up here.
All right. Okay, we'll start. I think we still need to correct the salary line, or were you able to?
That,
Orla didn't-
that I'm relying on your guidance and human resources to make sure that's correct.
Okay, and we will do that. We will do that before we do our final review with the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you.
All right.
But
So we're moving on to professional and tech services, professional affiliations. It looks like you're keeping everything pretty status. Am I correct?
I've kept basically the same numbers as was presented to me. That was the commission kept for the previous year, except for a change in my salary line since the position became full-time.
Right.
These numbers, for many reasons, COVID has prevented gathering for travel, trainings and such. So we didn't really tap into that money last year. I'm not certain how we break out memberships and affiliations, but we have recently received a number of renewal requests for our memberships. These have all sprouted up in the past couple of weeks. I will be presenting these to the commission on the 22nd to determine which of these memberships they'd like to renew. And I believe they would come out of those professional affiliation line.
Okay.
Travel, there has really been no travel. There's been nothing to travel to, but I anticipate that to change as trainings are starting to occur again. Meetings and fees, I kept that number static. There could be things that we that I really haven't been able to experience yet, that I can't foresee how we would use that line. So I kept that the same. Outside contractors, much like Marla said, some things are outside of my expertise, and we might need to engage with a subject matter expert using that line. Additionally, there on the advertising line, there are some things, projects that the commission engages in, a Bluebird box campaign, and other items that we may wish to put in the Turnpike Buyer or Shopper's Guide, which will cost us a little bit of money. We haven't advertised anything yet, but our Bluebird campaign is approaching, and previously we've advertised that in the Shopper's Guide, though $50 might not be enough what the going rate is for those things. But I wanted to make sure that there was some money in that line.
Okay.
Office supplies. There is going to be a need to replace a lot of the binders. Some of them are falling apart. 3-inch binder is kind of pricey, and we would need maybe 10 of those. Also, Marla and I have discussed the purchase of a cabinet, keeping money in that line towards that. We do have ample supplies, and we kind of have quite a hoard of them, pens and some things, but there are pricier items that you'd need to purchase at some point in time, especially the binders, sheet protectors. I need erasers, but highlighters, general stuff. But we're not really frivolous with the spending on that line, in anticipation of hopefully getting a file cabinet that we're seeking.
Okay. And it looks like that's all your line items, correct?
Yep. I'd be happy to answer any questions. I could try to answer questions, but as I said, we not having the full grasp of what the commission spends on a year-to-year basis on these matters, I decided to keep the numbers static from the previous year, and I've informed the commission that that was how we probably should play it, and they agreed.
Right, and I pulled out the budget book because we only had numbers to FY 20 and 18, 19 really line up well with what you're requesting. So as long as things return to normal, as far as meetings and travel, et cetera, you seem, at least based on 18, 19 projections, that seems pretty spot on. So. Suzanne or Ken? Any
Nothing
questions
else.
for Dan?
Nothing.
Oh, sorry, Ken, you and I keep starting at the same time.
You can go, Suzanne.
Okay, I have heard a couple of times about a cabinet, and for some reason, I'm thinking that was going to come out of like the selectmen's budget last year. Did that never get purchased?
No, a cabinet hasn't been purchased. I haven't heard that that it would be coming out of the selectmen's line. But
Do you remember that conversation, Amy?
I honestly don't. I'm sorry. But I do remember it's been discussed. It's been discussed for a couple of years now. So, and I know money has been put in, so I don't know. We can check with finance and find out, there's got to be some type of a PO that's opened up.
Something, and can we find out the cost of that cabinet? And I've heard that there's been some money transferred from year to year. Can we find out what that dollar amount is and get this cabinet purchased?
I think that sounds like a fantastic idea.
Yeah, I think we need to. I think it's been like 3 years I've been hearing about a cabinet.
Yeah, I definitely would.
I can't imagine that we can't figure out how to purchase this.
Right. Sounds good.
That's my only comment.
I will check with finance and get together with Dan and Marla and see if we can figure it out.
Yeah, and get back to us. Let us know.
Okay, so I've got it in my notes.
Thanks,
you,
Amy.
Suzanne.
You're
Thanks.
welcome.
Any other comments from the selectmen? Ken had said no. Suzanne made her comment. I don't have any. Any citizen comments on this budget? All right. Hearing none. Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, have a great afternoon.
You too.
All right, we're kind of ahead of schedule, but I did see that Erica Grow entered the meeting, Board of Assessment Appeals. Erica, are you good to move forward and make your presentation?
You're muted,
You're
Erica.
muted. You're muted, Erica.
Thank you.
There you go.
I already got 3 years teaching. You would think I'd have that down by now. Hello, everybody. So with my budget, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I'd like to keep all the items, the same. We need the advertising. We have a new board member. If he'd like training, I'd like to keep that. I just went in and I gave my 2 board members a $25 raise. That came out to be a 2.07% increase. So then I went up to my line and the secretaries added a 2.07, and it was $1 or $2 more than the 25, but it's just very simple. I mean, we don't have a lot of expenses. And I need to come in at a flat rate, that's fine too. I know it's, we're all doing what we can, but 25 is what I put in for, which was, I believe, a $104 increase. So that's all I have.
Sorry, I was muted. Erica, everything else is staying flat.
It's the same, yeah, flat, yeah.
Okay. Ken, any thoughts, questions?
No, I mean, they do have a new board member for that, so, whatever expenses, to bring him or her up to speed will be very well spent and are definitely needed.
All right, and Suzanne doesn't have any comments. I think it's pretty straightforward. Thank you, Erica. Any comments? Thank you. Any comments from the public?
This is
Citizen
Steve again,
comments.
if I might.
Yep, go ahead, Steve.
It looks like you might need a little bit more in advertising, just based on past expenditures. Obviously not off very much, but maybe you might need a few dollars more, maybe another $50 or something.
Well, I know, I don't think the shopper's guide has gone up, but I mean, it wouldn't hurt.
So make note of potentially an increase.
Wow.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Any other citizen comments at this time? All right. Thank you, Erica. All right, so our next attendee is going to be NECOG. John Filchek will be here for 4 o'clock. So at this time, I'm going to pause the recording while we wait for him to arrive for his presentation. Yeah, so I'm going to pause the recording, and this is the entire board of selectmen.
Beautiful.
So,
Thank
and
you so much.
I do have what you sent me that I can share for you.
Sure, sure. So,
Now, did you send me something besides the letter and this?
yeah, I also, and maybe this is enough for now. I did send you what we call our at a glance card. It's just a high level overview of our services, which may or may not be useful to people as we talk about some of these things. We can wait and see if people want that. Yeah, it was just an extra piece of information.
Okay, I can pull that up too.
Sure. So let me just start by thanking you all for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to have this conversation. It always feels a little sort of disconnected, if you will, to send a letter asking for you to allot money in your budget for our agency, but not make the connection between the work that we're doing and who you guys are as a community. So this is meaningful to me to be able to make these connections and to bring it to you as in person as we can be. So thank you. And I am Kathleen Kreider, and I am the Senior Director of Community Engagement for Access Community Action Agency. And every year, for those of you who don't know, we ask all 28 of our towns, so we serve both Tolland and Windham County, to consider allotting, line item budgeting, or however your budget process works, money for Access Community Action Agency. And we offer as sort of a form of reasoning, if you will, what we refer to as your town service profile. And that's it, Amy, thank you. Yep. And so this is in detail, I mean, this is specific to the town of Thompson. These are the services we provide to the community members of Thompson and the dollars associated with the services. So I won't bore you by reading to you. I think that this is fairly self-explanatory. Crisis intervention. So right now, landlord and tenant mediation and case management are probably two of the most robust services that we are providing across the Northeast region, right? So with
Kathleen, I think we lost your mic. Am I the only one that can't hear her?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yep, now I can
Yeah.
hear you.
I'm sorry, it's something in my laptop that does that. I apologize. Thank you, Amy. So this is one of the most important things that we're doing right now. I just had a meeting today with our homelessness prevention diversion services coordinator. And in the last 7 days, they have taken 4 people, not necessarily from Thompson, but 4 people off of the 211 shelter emergency list and put them into housing, right? So this is happening a lot. And I think well, I don't know if you know or not, I'll mention it, that one of our strongest community partners is Teague. Ann Miller and her staff and those of us at Access work hand in hand to provide services in the deep northeast corner. So I always want to give a huge shout out to the work that Teague does. They are, in my opinion, one of the small but super mighty organizations that are doing really good work. And so then in the next category, the increasing food security, you can see that predominantly this is in our Women, Infants, and Children program. Your community members would access our program through Day Kimball. Day Kimball subcontracts to Access to provide Women, Infants, and Children WIC nutrition programming services. And then we are also delivering and providing standalone mobile and site-based pantry services to people in Thompson. The next one is the Home Energy Assistance Program. So 233 people in Thompson received energy assistance for that calendar year. I just think that's a lot of people for a small community. So, you know, to the tune of $175,000 worth of assistance. Also, again, mentioning Teague in this. So Teague is a subcontractor to this, which means that a lot of your community members will submit paperwork or sit with the energy intake specialist at Teague, and then that paperwork is sent to Access. We do the certification for everyone in that program, and then we also administer all of the distribution and payments. So if somebody is receiving oil assistance, energy through Eversource, pellets, wood, gas, all of that administration of that delivery system comes through Access. But we do partner with Teague to make sure that people are getting the services that they need. And then that last box shows you over the last 3 years. Thank you very much. What your allocations have been. We really appreciate that you have chosen to allocate. And then with, you know, just so that you see there, a total of 323 individuals or families in your community that have received services from us. So, and it looks like just high math to the tune of about $200,000 worth of assistance. So we hope that you see your $1,000 allocation as being money well spent. Having said that, first of all, I'll pause and see if anybody has any questions about your town profile.
Kathleen, my question is the dollar spent that goes directly to the household. So in the case of the 233, roughly $750 per household allocation for heat assistance, or, I mean, it probably fluctuates and varies, but
yeah,
the dollars actually come to these households.
So good question. The way that the dollars, so the answer is ultimately yes, but maybe not quite as obviously. So the way that the dollars actually land for each customer is through their energy. So we don't write, so just to be clear, we do not write checks to customers. What happens is that a customer receives a certification letter that tells them the dollars that they are eligible to receive in the form of an energy service. And then the customer reaches out to whatever energy provider they use. And let's say it's oil, and you call your oil delivery person and you get an oil delivery right into your tank. And then we are billed for that delivery. We pay the service provider, the oil delivery service. So the customer never receives a direct check. It's all done on the back end, if you will.
Right.
Does that answer it, Amy?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
And then you're right that what each person receives is based, it's individual. So everybody's income will dictate what dollar amount they are eligible for.
Okay. Ken or Suzanne, any questions on this section?
Kathleen, with the, this is Ken.
Hi,
With
Ken.
the current inflation rate and everything that you see going on, have you seen an increase in requests of your services to date?
Yeah, so this is kind of an amazing thing. So I met with, the supervisors met today, and Kathy Whitehead, who is our HEAP, the Home Energy Assistance Program Director, reported out to all of us that today we have done approximately 900 more certifications than we did last year. And we are already 100 certifications ahead of the entire service for last year. So when this closes in May of 2022, if we're already 100 ahead, I don't know, we could be 500 more people were served this year than last year. So there is an enormous increase in the request for services.
Thank you.
Can I just ask, the 323 Thompson households that were served, do you know if any of the services were duplicated in that number?
These are unduplicated services. For energy assistance, these are unduplicated.
Okay.
I mean, it's possible, for example, that somebody in that 233 number also received some sort of crisis intervention, case management, but the home energy assistance number is an unduplicated number.
Okay.
Kathleen, and I don't know if this might be in your next at a glance, but here you're showing $1,000 allocation for fiscal year 22, but we did appropriate $3,000, two of which we had specifically, 1,000 was general and 2,000 for the no freeze shelter. I'm wondering, is that shelter still up and running? How is that going? Because
Yeah,
we
thank
saw
you.
that as something extremely valuable, and the last 2 years we've appropriated that.
Yeah, and so thank you. Yes, it is still up and running. And again, another really important shout out to Ann Miller. So the quick history is that a group of community members from across the Northeast were pulled together about 3, maybe 4 years ago at this point to address this specific issue. Several from that original meeting probably had 70 people at it. From that group, we created a sort of a steering committee, if you will. Ann Miller was on that, as were several other prominent area members of your community. And here we are X number of years out. I think this is our 3rd winter. So we operate out of the St. Albans Parish House, which is in Danielson. It's actually really beautifully, the back of the St. Albans Parish attaches to the back of our emergency shelter. So these two services are literally touching each other. And then both of them are walking distance from our Danielson 231 Broad Street offices. So we can really provide great case management for this as well. And so, yeah, we operate the no freeze. We call it the cold weather overnight shelter. And that's open from mid-December to mid-March. The emergency shelter staff are the overnight sort of, if you will, trained staff, but it's also supported when it sort of in the shoulder hours, if you will, by volunteer staff. And right now with COVID restrictions, so we typically feel like we can safely serve about 15 people a night at the cold weather overnight. With COVID restrictions, we're down to 8. And then what we're doing is anybody over that number, we take them in at the emergency shelter right around the corner. It's also true that if a family were to come to the cold weather shelter, that family would be housed at the emergency shelter overnight. And then to add to that, always is the effort. So oftentimes the people who are using our cold weather overnight services are the chronically unsheltered. Those who are not choosing chronic unsheltering are brought into the 211 system, and then through the case management services at our emergency shelter, we work to rapidly rehouse them. And Teague is a big partner with us in that.
Great. Board, do you have any other questions for Kathleen?
I do not.
No, thank you for everything you're doing to help out.
Yeah, thank you. Amy, if you want to open up that at a glance, I won't spend a lot of time with it. This is on our website. You can choose it to look at this at any time. This is a very high level overview of the services we provide. So there are services that we can make available to your community that are not necessarily in your town profile. And some of the services that we provide are sort of buried in. So like when we talk about crisis intervention, you can see here that there's the Next Step supportive housing program. There's the rapid rehousing program. There's supportive housing for families. So we do a lot of individualized programming individual programming that we lump under like the crisis intervention category. So you might not see that pulled out. I can't tell you here, for example, how many people in Thompson used our rapid rehousing program. I don't know how many people in Thompson used our Assurance 16 program, which would help them with furnace repairs and replacement. I can't tell how many people, I don't know, for example, if we don't delineate in terms of our food programs, we don't pull out child and adult care numbers for you, but if you have licensed daycare providers in the town of Thompson, they are probably enrolled in our CACFP program, which is a reimbursement program to providers who serve nutritional food and go through training, nutrition training and monitoring and so forth and so on. So there may be other ways in which Access is serving your community that are not in your profile. And some of that, you might be able to see that in this high level overview. I know that there's no one from Thompson taking part in our Access to Employment program, but case management is reflected in your service profile. And then Crossroads down there in the corner, that's a residential program for youth ages 15 to 21, and it's located in Norwich. That's a DCF sponsored program. So all of the kids in that program come to us through the DCF system. And I don't know, maybe one of them hails from Thompson originally, I'm not sure.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for all the work you do.
Well, thank you. I mean, you guys too, right? You're working hard. You're serving your community through your civic engagement here, your elected positions. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate that you continue to support us. It's really meaningful to us. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. All right, if there's, Kathleen, hold on just 1 second. I do open it up. I don't think I did yet. Citizen comments, if there's any citizen comments for the board in regard to this presenter, the floor is open. All right, hearing and seeing none. Thank you, Kathleen, and
you bet. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye. Just realized my video was off. All right, our last presenter for today, Wayne Bugden. He's representing the Eastern Connecticut Land Bank. If you remember, our EDC is proposing a certain amount for the Eastern Connecticut Land Bank. So Wayne is here just to kind of discuss with us again a little bit more about what Eastern Connecticut Land Bank is. So I think, Wayne, are you going to want to share a screen?
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you, Wayne.
Great. If I could, I have a short presentation that I can give, or we could just chat, whatever you prefer.
Nope, you should be good to go. We're ready. I gave you
Okay.
screen share.
All right. I'm not sure what I need to do in order to do that.
Okay, on the bottom, you
Share
didn't
screen.
send it to me, did you?
I don't think
Send
I
me your
did,
present.
no.
Okay, on the bottom of your screen, unless you're
think I-
using an iPad, then
think
it's
I
at the
got
top.
it.
There you go. Yep, that's it.
Got it, okay. So, everybody can see this okay?
I
Yep.
can.
Okay, thanks. Well, thank you very much for allowing me to come in and talk about the land bank. Most of you know me and probably know that the land bank probably wouldn't exist at all. It certainly wouldn't exist at all if it hadn't had a birthplace in Thompson. I think that'll become very apparent. So just quickly, what I want to go over today is three things. I want to introduce you to what a brownfield land bank is, and to Eastern Connecticut Land Bank in particular. I want to tell you what our mission and our vision are, basically, and in that, how specifically can we help Thompson? And then also, my primary reason tonight for being here is to tell you what our challenges are and to ask for some assistance. How can Thompson help us help you? By the way, interrupt me at any time with any questions. I appreciate that, actually. So if you're not familiar with the land bank legislation and what enabled us to create this organization, it was started by Public Act 17214. So in 2017, it wasn't actually, there were a lot of hurdles to putting the thing together. We had to create a nonprofit corporation when we decided, the folks that began the land bank with me, we decided to do this. We had to create a nonprofit. That took about almost a year to go through all the rigmarole of that. And then it took some time to get certified as a Connecticut Brownfield Land Bank by the Department of Economic and Community Development. What we are is a completely independent, non-stock, nonprofit, community-based corporation. We're very much a grassroots organization. So we're not affiliated with any, not tied to any government agencies or entities. We are independent, but the final bullet here at the bottom is we're dedicated to helping communities deal with their most troublesome brownfield properties. And what that means is that is our whole reason for existence, is to help communities deal with some of the hardest properties that they contend with. So our mission is, this is our actual mission statement: to partner with municipalities in Eastern Connecticut to support the return of distressed and underutilized blighted brownfield and historic properties to productive uses. And the last part is important: consistent with local plans of conservation and development. What we see our function as is not, we're independent, but we would take our orders, our marching orders, really from the towns. We don't want to go in and say this is what a property ought to be and make overriding decisions. We want every decision that we make and every action that we take to be consistent with what a town wants to see. The town should have control over how these properties get cleaned up and redeveloped and what uses they get put to. So, you guys, I consider, Thompson to be sort of the epicenter of the brownfield movement in Eastern Connecticut. We want to take properties that look like this and have them turn out like this, and not like this. The one that I showed there that I wanted it to look like is in Providence, but you get the idea. This is a story. The property shown here is obviously the Belding Corticelli Mill in Thompson, and it's I don't need to tell any of you how much of a detraction that is to the town, how much it drags down the image of the town. It's a right on the main drag there and everything. Our function is to try to make sure things on other properties don't go that way, and then to clean up the properties that have already deteriorated to the point where nobody wants to look at them, clean them up. So closer to home than Providence, a success story that I was working on for a number of years with Putnam is a Cargo Falls Mill. On the left side are a couple of pictures of what it looked like about 10 years ago, and then now it's fully redeveloped, completely, almost completely leased out. All of mostly the residential units. There's some commercial units. Almost everything is filled there, and it was filled during the pandemic, right as they finished construction, before the leases were even open, before the building was finally open. So a great success story that can be repeated in other places. So what we are, the land bank is, as I said, a Connecticut corporation. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, which is an important tool for us to be able to take advantage of philanthropic gifts and things like that. We're certified as a brownfield land bank. We have a board of directors of 11 members, and we have assembled and are continuing to assemble unique and technical and managerial capacity, and ultimately many different sources of capital to tackle these properties. And we are serving communities of Eastern Connecticut. This is our home. This is the area of our focus. There is no other land bank in Eastern Connecticut. So this is a place that's plagued by brownfields, maybe more than any other part of the state. And so we have plenty of work to do here. Board of directors will look familiar to you. It's certainly Thompson-centric. Current and former residents and employees. As I said, this was the nexus of growing our organization. And then the Brownfield Land Bank Toolbox, I mentioned that when the legislature created the enabling legislation for us, they gave us a lot of power. They made us eligible for things that towns are eligible for, like municipal liability relief and eligibility for grants. We've got, I won't go through all the bullet items, but essentially we have quite a bit of power to do things on behalf of the communities. And the bottom line is in yellow at the bottom of this slide, basically anything else to accomplish the mission. Whatever we can do, whatever we have the capacity to do, we want to bring to bear. Thompson, with the River Mill project right now, you're seeing these other things that plague brownfield sites that might not immediately become apparent, but suddenly you get a letter saying that the floodplain is being redrawn, and suddenly it's going to impact whether the project can move forward or not, and it requires some rapid assessment and response to something like that. We've been fortunate, and Tira is on our board of directors. I don't think she's been able to join us with this meeting, but Tira and Amy, you both already have been working on these things, so you understand what it takes to get to respond, to keep these projects kind of on track. So virtually anything and everything that needs to be done to make these projects successful, that's what our organization will do. So just quickly, what our ongoing and recent projects, we got a $200,000 assessment grant for the Command Mills site in Moosup. We're working on that. That will leverage upwards of $4 million of private cleanup money by the Command Corporation, where they no longer own the property. It was sold, and then the owners, on a familiar story, the owners left and basically didn't do much with it, left a big mess. And the town and the land bank are working together and trying to leverage this private source of funding from the Command Corp to get the property cleaned up and redeveloped. We've recently assisted Stonington on some assessment grants and two assessment grants. I'm sorry, one assessment grant and one cleanup grant. And we've helped out other towns so far with just the volunteers that are on our board in Montville, East Windsor, Killingly, Putnam, and Stonington. And we look forward to helping Thompson in whatever way we can. You guys have a more sophisticated, for a town the size of Thompson, you've already got a more sophisticated group of people who understand this. MISRAC, I always point to MISRAC as an amazing organization because of its longevity, stick-to-itiveness. So right now, our organization is at the exact right place at the right time. that this is the right time to be tackling brownfields. The state of Connecticut has been making huge investments in grants and loans. Thompson has been the beneficiary of that, going back to all of the grants that were for 630 Riverside Drive, for the River Mill, the bar grant, and now recently the remediation grant for the River Mill. And there doesn't seem to be any, no one in Hartford seems to be exhausted by this. They seem to be more energized because they're seeing great benefits from this investment. The other reason right now is the federal infrastructure bill that was just passed includes $1.5 billion of brownfield funding. And that sounds like a lot, and it is. It represents over 5 years worth of the typical rate of funding for brownfields coming out of EPA. What that means is that in about a year's time, EPA is tasked with pushing all this money out to grants around the country, and this is unprecedented, and it's a huge infusion of money potentially to our area, and the land bank stands to capitalize on that if we can. There's been great changes in the laws, the land bank legislation itself, and then these liability relief programs, which are key because they allow the land bank or a town to put basically a covenant not to sue on a property that's been cleaned up, and then transfer that liability relief to a private developer. Then there's other things that have come along in the last decade, really great programs that might, on the right site, might be important, enterprise zones and different types of incentives for brownfield revitalization. And lastly, and it may not be always apparent by the people out there, property owners and business owners and industry owners, who, environmental regulations have always been a nuisance, but they have improved, and there are more exit ramps to get out of these environmental programs, and so we take advantage of those. Any questions so far? Comments? I've been rattling on here.
No, I'm good, Wayne.
Okay. So
Same here.
we're at this point now. So despite the early successes, I'll tell you, I'll share with you my sort of, I wish it had gone differently story. The land banks are really common in other parts of the country. They focus more on large tracts of vacant housing in places, Rust Belt cities like Detroit and Cleveland. And they're almost always a portion of a county government or a city government. Connecticut decided to make these nonprofit corporations unaffiliated with government agencies. And there were reasons for that, and I don't understand all of them. And I kind of like the idea of making it be a grassroots effort. The downside of it all is that there is absolutely no funding for us to do what we need to do. We're eligible for all of these programs, these financial tools and other things that give us a lot of power to do things, but we don't have we have no access to any funds that allow us to develop our capacity to administer these different funds and programs. And it would have been nice, I guess, and maybe this is something that I'd like to work on with the state, with the Brownfield Working Group that I sit on, try to get legislation changed so that there might be some small infusion of kind of seed money to get us going. But nonetheless, there is no such thing right now, and we are the most active land bank right now in the state, but we have no way of hiring an executive director or paying for legal fees or paying for other administrative expenses. And everything is expensive. The tasks that we're doing, we can't use the grants that we're getting for much other than a very minor amount of administrative costs. And so to date, everybody on the board is basically doing all of the work, volunteering at night, on weekends, even contributing our own cash to pay for, things that when we file our reports with the Secretary of State, all of that stuff. We just have no funds. And the reason for me coming here, and thank you again for allowing me to, we'd look for financial assistance from the towns in the region. Yesterday morning, Putnam agreed to allocate $50,000 to Eastern Connecticut Land Bank, which is our biggest municipal gift. We have about $5,000 in the bank right now, and that's it. And we don't have any other known sources of funds at this point. We have some promises from Plainfield, potentially from Stonington, but that's it right now. And so Putnam's, which still has to be sort of ratified or certified by their Board of Finance. But yesterday they were very positive, and we hope to be helping them with some projects. So we need about $300,000 over the next 18 months to 2 years to hire an executive director and pay them a decent salary and give them benefits, and then pay for some of the other expenses that we've incurred from legal, especially legal costs. We've been getting a tremendous amount of pro bono services from Halloran and Sage. They've been wonderful to us, but they can't do it forever, and been very generous. And we continue to run into legal issues that really we need their assistance on. So those are expenses we need to be able to pay for. And we think that about $300,000 at a very bare minimum would allow us to hire an executive director and basically get that person to do a lot of the heavy lifting day to day. And then, the last bullet here is, we have administrative and clerical expenses that we've been basically bearing the brunt of that ourselves. So we would look for money, to help pay for that as well. In return, and I apologize for this, I borrowed this slide minutes ago because I had a glitch, and it should say Thompson on the top here. And I had done a search to make sure that it didn't say Putnam, and for some reason that didn't pop up. But how can we, how will we help Thompson in this? We would assist Thompson with its ongoing projects any which way we can. You guys are really doing well with the River Mill, but we'd really like to help you with any components, any function that a land bank can do. We'd like to help you do that. These are some of the things that we can do: writing grants, participating in meetings and outreach programs, working to market the sites, educate the public, and the state and federal agencies, developers and investors. There's a lot of work to be done there. And the last thing and maybe one of the most powerful things that we can do, the last bullet on the lower right here, is the potential acquisition, cleanup, and resale of brownfield sites. We are very much intending to become a development corporation where we buy, clean up, and flip properties. So a property that basically nobody else wants, we want to get it and clean it up and put it back on the tax rolls. So a property like 630, like the Belding Corticelli Mill, that could lie there for another 10 or 15 years, just as it is, if no one goes in there with some audacious plan to go in and find a path forward. And that would be a great feather in our cap to be able to help you deal with a property like that. And then finally, anything else to accomplish the mission, as I said, we'll put our effort, put our heads together and do whatever we can to help you. So again, apologies for the Putnam faux pas there sliding in. I didn't catch it. I was actually doing the edits when I got your email saying that we were going to move quicker. So please forgive me for that. Any questions or comments, concerns?
Just a couple questions, or one question, I guess, that I had. How many other land banks are there in Connecticut that you know of?
So there's 3 right now, including ours.
Okay.
One is in the Naugatuck Valley. Primarily, that's where they're located. Some of you may have remembered, I don't know if you ever have heard the name Arthur Bogan. Art Bogan was he was a guy who was doing a lot of brownfields work as a private consultant for a lot of years. He would go in and help towns administer their brownfield programs. So if they got a grant, he would help them do that. And he had a small, one-person consulting firm. And when the land bank legislation was formed, he morphed his private, basically, I don't think he didn't really close down his consulting business, but he morphed it into this nonprofit organization. He got a board of directors that are basically focused in Western Connecticut, from Torrington down to Shelton, Derby area. So he's really focused on the Naugatuck Valley. The other one is based in Hamden, so it covers the Hamden, the New Haven, greater New Haven area. Both of those are not doing what the legislation was really intended in its entirety. And what I mean by that is they're run by folks who have they come at these projects with more as a developers, like, can we get this site cleaned up and turned around, super fast? And if it's a property that's harder to deal with, they're not tackling those sites. And I think DECD is maybe a little bit disappointed, I guess, in the sense that there haven't been more organizations like ours that have come forward. But the challenges that I mentioned, the lack of funding to start up something like this, this took on a tremendous amount of work on the part of the board to get to where we are right now. And so it's not surprising, I guess, that other organizations haven't done what we're trying to do. We're trying to be the organization that basically achieves these goals that the legislation intended. The toughest sites out there, we don't want to just say, well, they're just too tough for us to tackle. It'll take too long, take too much effort. Those are the ones that plague these towns the longest. And so anybody could go along with an old gas station on a main road and clean up what's there, and developers are lining up because it's in a perfect spot. Or a place like Anchor Glass that became Killingly Commons. I mean, that was a big sprawling site, but it wasn't. It had great interest, obviously, as a commercial development. So those are what I would consider low hanging fruit. And Eastern Connecticut Land Bank wants to help towns out with the ones that are tougher. That the path forward is not as clear. So kind of a long answer to your question, Amy, but it was a good question.
Very helpful. And my other question is, when, like that last bullet point that you had where it said acquisition of the land, how does the land bank do that when you have no funding?
Well, we don't.
How would that work? Okay.
Yeah, we don't. And even if a property were to be handed to us by a town, you could assign, the law allows you to assign a tax lien to us. We could go through a property foreclosure, a strict foreclosure, or what have you. And I'm just learning these terms from the attorneys that I'm working with. Even if we were to do that, we need legal assistance along the way. There's an awful lot of things that I'm not even familiar with all of the different steps. What I do know is that, some of these are properties that they may need to be, there may need to be some incentives, coercion, or whatever needed to get these out of the hands of folks who aren't pushing the project forward or the property forward. And we're going to do whatever it takes to get that done.
Yep.
We'd need the
sense.
assistance of we'd need the assistance of the towns to get it done. This is all hand in hand. There's no way to do this without that kind of partnership.
Any other questions from the selectmen?
None from me.
Did Ken slip out of the meeting for some reason? It looked like.
I don't see him there. Let me see.
Yeah, I wonder if he lost. Oh wait, here he comes. Okay, we'll wait for him.
Maybe he got knocked out.
Okay. Ken, you're back in the meeting. Did you have any questions for Wayne?
No, we've talked about this many times during MISRAC and so forth. I don't know what happened. Everything went dead.
Okay.
I lost everything, so.
That usually happens to me, Ken. I don't know.
Well, you had froze up and all of a sudden the screen went Then I went back to nothing, so I had to relog it. It was
Okay, at this time, if Ken and Suzanne, and I don't have any other questions, I'd open up the floor to any citizen comments or questions from the public. All right. Wayne, can you send me a copy of this slide presentation
Sure can.
potentially? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that would be
I'll-
fantastic.
I'm gonna correct the, my
But,
errors there. Like I
Well,
said.
I'm
it was-
sorry. Sorry, I rushed you a little bit too.
Yeah, I was actually at a meeting. I wanted you to know, I should have told you this too, that we're trying every avenue to raise money. And so I was actually at a meeting with Mary Ann this, today in Norwich with Ianti at Congressman Courtney's office to try to find any other way, any other avenues of getting funding. And when I came back, I had a pile of work. And then I realized that I still had a couple tweaks to make, and I thought, well, I'll make these tweaks to my presentation. And right then you sent me the email, and I was on the phone, so I realized that I didn't do any QC check on it, and I apologize.
No problem. No worries. All right. So if there are no other questions, that is our last presenter for this evening. I'll make a motion that we adjourn at 5:09 PM.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of adjournment at 5:09 PM, say aye.
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 Yeah,
All
thanks,
right,
Wayne.
thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you very much, everyone. Good night.
Thanks, Wayne.
Good night.
Amy, can you just, I could share my screen and show you
Yep.
what I see when Ken and I sign in.
Okay, hold on.